Banabasikolo, banabasikolo.
Long siko long siko long. Usasitiala, usasitiala. Ding dong, ding.
The possibilities that the Zoom gives us, and that we can show up as we are and move as we are with whatever space we have. Like it's both limiting, but also just has a lot of possibilities. And I think generally it was just a very new experience for me. Like I think I've only recently been thinking about movement more formally, or movement without music.
It was strange for me because like I've never done anything like that before. I was moving in ways that I don't typically move in. He also described it as like, you know, invading someone's personal space through a screen. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're all trapped in our own boxes, but we're using the screen to like invade yours and to invite you into our like, you know, our space.
Can you talk a little bit about the choreographer's process of generating material?
And we were talking about how like hair texture and hair types is a point of discrimination for a lot of women of color, Black women specifically, and how like we use the concept of like our hair being different and our hair being spontaneous and our hair being big, boisterous, beautiful into like dance moves. We were talking about that. We're talking about like the idea of personal space. We're talking about the idea of being like trapped in a space and also inviting other people in, just letting your body take control. Like, what does your body think? Like, what does your body think it should move? Like, how should it move when you hear this word? How should it move when this word's elongated? Or how should it move when, you know, this word's cut short type thing?
Like that feeling of silliness or just like not knowing how to act. I'm like, oh, I know what it is to swat flies, but now that I have to do it in this moment, it's awkward, or I don't know, you know, what does my body look like? So that was a challenge of like, one, getting out of my head, but also allowing myself to be playful.
When you're like in quarantine, when you're isolated for a minute, you're not seeing as many people and things like that. You know, I feel like your brain activity just like, you know, it doesn't function. It's not where it needs to be. So that was like really cool too. Like instead of just like body movement, also like testing and, you know, making our minds dance as well.
Doing that together, the four of us. And there would be moments where we're like, I don't understand. What does that mean? Or like, and how that requires like a level of vulnerability.
The easiest way to build a bond with someone is doing something you're uncomfortable with, or like being put out of the box with another group of people. So like you're trying it out at the same time and you're getting, you know, used to it at the same time. You're working through it together. I feel like it builds a bond.
Yeah, I think that whole experience just made me think about like what is possible. Like how can I create movement in my everyday? How can I take myself seriously in doing that as like as a creative practice? As something that I can use to connect to other people, but also like come inwards when I need to come inwards.